Hello everyone, how are you all doing? So it's just a month left from today till your AFM exam. 5th March is your AFM exam. Not even 1 month, less than a month. So I thought of doing the past paper since this is requested by one student of mine. So I thought of uploading on YouTube the latest past paper. This is March-June 2019 AFM paper. And this is question number 2, which I'm solving. And this was exactly my paper because when I was going through this, I was like, I'm very familiar with these questions. So this is my paper which I'm doing. I got this questions. This were the questions which I got for my exam. Exactly, this was the question I did in June 2019. Right, this is a March-June paper. So starting with question 2. Question 2 is about your risk management. This is a risk management question, and also we have some theory part on treasury. So before I read the case study, as I always tell you that start with the requirements. This is a 25 marks question. We got swap, we got options. So part A. This is in fact not a very difficult question. The difficulty came in the swap, interest rate swap. If you know how to do swap, then you will be well off in all the other questions because others are quite easy. It is just nothing new is there. It is just repetitive. So part A, compare the results of hedging the $84 million using the options and swaps. Option and swap with the results already obtained using the forward rate agreement and future. So don't attempt to calculate under forward rate and future. It is already done for you. You only have to use option and swap and compare all the four, and then you have to comment on the results. Comment. Don't forget about the comment part. Show all relevant calculations, including how interest rate swap would work. Okay. 15 marks. Next, 5 marks. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of using swap as a means of hedging interest rate risk of the large shell company. This should be easy for you if you know the advantages and disadvantages of swap. This is your knowledge part only from your revision from your textbook. Part C again for 5 marks. Criticize the view of chief executive about the work carried out by the treasury department and the staff required to do this work. Now, this, even though we know that about treasury department and all, question comes repeating, but question might be different. This is a little bit different question. So I had a little bit difficulty in part C. Okay, but I never leave anything incomplete. I tried to do maximum I could. Okay, so that means you have to read about your treasury department, chapter 15. So now coming to the, if you can say treasury staffing, the last paragraph you need for the last requirement. You can even do the theory part also, leaving your calculation part, right? This question now, you have to decide first that can you do in any order? Are they independent or are they related on each other? Okay. Part B and part C and part A, if you see, they are not related to each other. They are independent questions. So A, B, and C you can do in any order. You can even start with B and C and then go with A, or you can do A, B, and C. Whatever way you wish. But always make sure read all the requirements first and then decide. Because some requirements, the next requirement might be related, might be linked to the previous requirement. It's not always independent. It's good if it's independent. You can do in any order, like in this case, but it is not always so. Okay. So now coming to our case study. The case study is also not so long. It was quite short. So Lakshya is a listed electronic company. Lakshya has recently appointed a new chief executive who has a number of plans to expand the company. The chief executive also plans to look carefully at the cost of all departments in Lakshya's head office, including centralized treasury department. So that is just giving the background. Usually the first 3-4 lines are usually giving the background of the company. The first major investment with the chief executive will oversee is an investment in facilities to produce application specific component. To finance the planned investment, it is likely that Lakshya will have to borrow money. It is now 1st May. Always mark the date, which date it is today, because this, for options you need, for future you need. the date when you have to select which future or which option you are going for. And also it is like a borrowing. You always have to look for whether you are borrowing or you are depositing, because based on that you have to decide in your option whether it's a call option or a put option. At present, it seems that Lakshya will need to borrow $84 million on 1st September for a period of 6 months. 6 months they have to borrow. Although both amount and the period of borrowing are subject to some uncertainty, the Treasury plans to borrow the fund at a variable rate of LIBOR plus 50 basis point. They plan to borrow at what? At a variable rate of LIBOR plus 50 basis point. LIBOR is currently 4.5%, but it is expected to rise by up to 0.6% between now and 1st of September. Okay. So now is what? 1st of May. From 1st of May to September. LIBOR is currently this. It is expected to rise up by this one between now and 1st of September. There is a, usually when you're practicing, you have practiced both increase and decrease, right? Here, don't do that. Just check clearly whether it is increase or decrease, or whether it's only increase or whether it's only decrease. Here they said only increase. So good thing is you only have to work on the increase part. So far, the possibility of hedging a rise in LIBOR of 0.6% using a forward rate agreement. Okay, why they have to hedge the, if the LIBOR rises, okay, why they have to hedge? Because this is a borrowing. In borrowing, you always have to hedge when your interest rate goes up. So that means if a LIBOR means what? It's a variable rate, right? The interest rate is going up. So when interest rate goes up, you have to hedge. So they are saying the possibility of hedging a rise in LIBOR of 0.6 for using a forward rate agreement or September dollar future. September dollar future they have used. Okay. Now, you might be shocked that how dollar future, because when we learned we don't have futures in dollar or options in dollar. It is always in other currencies. Maybe this is an over the counter. We have to see for that. It's possible only in over the counter option. This is not an exchange traded future. Okay. So September dollar future has been investigated. The result of the calculation of the instruments as follows. Okay. So now they have already given you the interest rate. This is not an exchange rate. This is an interest rate risk management. First, you have to understand that you have to differentiate whether this is an exchange rate question or an interest rate question. Sometimes you are given both together, exchange rate also, interest rate risk also. You might get it as a 50 marks question, but it is very rare. It is usually one or the other. Mostly it is exchange rate risk management you get. But sometimes when you are unlucky, okay, I will not say unlucky because we don't prepare so much for interest rate risk. We are always more comfortable with exchange rate risk management, right? So be prepared for interest rate risk management also. Suddenly it can come anytime, right? So the good thing was I was prepared for both. So when interest rate risk appeared, I was not shocked. Okay. So now they have given the rates. The 410, okay, 4 to 10. Forward rate agreement from Burdham Bank is this. So using forward, this is the rate, and 3-month traded September dollar future, this is the percentage, the interest rate. Okay. Lakshya's company's treasurer also was to consider using options on futures to hedge loans. Although Lakshya has not previously used swaps for hedging purposes, the treasurer has asked the bank to find a counterparty for a potential swap arrangement. The relevant information option and swap is as follows. So, option. The current price for the 3-month, here also it is September future only. Okay. Option on future. So the current price for the 3-month is how much? $2 million contract size, it is this. Okay. And the price is quoted in basis point at 100 minus annual percentage yield. You have been given September call, you have been given September put. Okay. Here you are not given different months. Usually we are given 2-3 months and we have to decide which month, and we also have to decide call and put. Here only one date, it is September only, but you have to decide whether it's call or put. Okay. So option on 3-month dollar future, option premium and annual percentages. Okay. This is your exercise price, the strike price, and the other two 0.132 and 0.411 are your premium. It can be assumed that futures and option contracts are sold at the end of each month. Basis can be assumed to diminish as zero at contract maturity at constant rate based on money time intervals. It can also be assumed that there is no basis risk and there are no margin requirements. So this is always there. Okay. Coming to swap. The difficulty, most of the students where they went wrong in the swap part. Option is still okay. It's still manageable. But swap, even though you keep practicing swap, still, because swap, if you see swap, there are very few questions in swap. Even in textbook also, even in revision kit also, there are not so much of questions in swap, but there are at least 3 4 questions in swap. Those 3 4 questions only you have to attempt many times and see how fast you are able to calculate. Are you able to do those all the stage? Are you able to find the variable rate? Are you able to know what to swap? What are you receiving? What are you paying? So those things you have to know. Okay, with swap you are taking which rate, fixed or variable. Without swap you are taking fixed or variable. That you have to decide. So you have to know, are you good at that or not. Okay, so swap, the bank has found a possible counterparty to enter into a swap with the company. The company can borrow at an annual floating rate. The counterparty can borrow at floating rate. So this is LIBOR of this one or a fixed rate of this one. Okay, Burden Bank has quoted they have quoted Lakshal company a notional fixed rate of 5.6 for it to borrow. Okay, so they have given a fixed rate for the company. It is 5.6% because we already know the variable rate for Lakshal company, right? That was LIBOR plus 50 basis point, but we don't know the fixed rate. Okay, so the fixed rate is 5.6% for Lakshal. We need, okay, for the swap to work, remember we need fixed rate and we need variable rate for both the company and the counterparty. So there should be total 4 rates, 2 variable rates and 2 fixed rates of the counterparty and the company. You need it. Burning Bank would charge a fee of 10 basis point to each party individually to act as the intermediary of the swap. So the bank would charge a fee of 10 basis point to each, 10 from counterparty, 10 from Lakshal company. Both parties would share equally the quotation gains from the swap. Yes, shares. Okay, so they would the gain will go equally to both the parties. Okay, treasury stuffing. Now let's read that also because it's not so big, so it won't take so much also. So Lakshal's new chief executive has made the following comments. I understand that the Treasury Department has a number of day-to-day responsibilities, including investment surplus funds as for the short-term liquidity management and hedging against currency and interest rate risk. This means, okay, they are saying what are the duties of Treasury Department. One is to hedge, okay, currency and interest rates. The other role of Treasury Department is investing the surplus funds for the short-term liquidity management. They want to do working capital management. That is their job, to see whether the company is in a liquidation, okay, position and all. However, this task could all be carried out by the junior less experienced. Okay, this task could be carried out by junior less experienced members of the department. I do not see why the department needs to employ experienced, expensive staff as it does not contribute to the strategic success of the company. So they are saying that the role, whatever is currently done by the treasury department, they can delegate it to some junior, unexperienced staff because it should not be carried. It is not needed, right, to be carried out by experienced and expensive staff because they think that the role of the treasury department is not contributing to the strategic success of the company. So now your role is you have to either you have to support the statement or you have to go against the statement. But remember, whatever you do, you have to justify. You have to justify. Of course, by looking at the statement, it looks very unlikely that anyone will support the statement. Okay, but we'll see the answer. Okay, so now first is I'm starting with part A. I follow the norm. The norm is we start in the logical order only. So part A, because 15 marks. So first we are going with options. Okay, so that's why option, write it as a subheading. The good thing in part B for both 25 marks question, okay, question 2 and 3 is you don't have to write in a report format or no professional marks anything, but that does not mean that you can do as you like. Still you have to follow a logical order. You have to show your workings in a manner that can be understood. Some numbers you are putting somewhere else, some you are cutting here, okay, putting some numbers which is not clear. It's not even, you cannot even understand what you wrote by yourself. So it should not be like that. Okay, that has to be maintained throughout the exam. So coming to the option, it is a put option. Why? Borrowing. Put option. Please mention the first thing. Option. You have to say whether call or put. Usually you have to decide also which month, which date you are taking the option. But here you don't have to say that because it is September. Okay. It is already given. So by default, it is September only. But you have to say whether put or call. That always you have to say that. They will never tell you. You only have to say put or call. This is a put because it is borrowing. Borrowings are always put. Deposits are always call option. Okay. So buy put option as need to hedge against a rise in interest rate, or I would write borrowing. Borrowings, that's why it's put. Next, so this is number one. I'm putting number one because I'm putting the steps. So 1 mark you are getting for that. Second mark you are getting to find number of contracts. That is number two. Number of contracts you have to find, even for future, even for option. But future it is already calculated, so don't worry about it. Go for options. Option, what is the amount that you have to hedge? 84 million. What is the contract size? 2 million. And what is the duration of hedging? How long you want to hedge it for? 6 months. 6 months. And what is the duration of the future? Because this is an option on future, so it is for 3 months. 3 month, okay, the option. So that's why it is 84 million divided by 2 million into 6 over 3 if you see this fraction. Okay. uh, this this fraction is very important here. This fraction is very important here because rest you will understand. But 6 over 3, why it is 6 over 3? 6 is your duration, hedging, how long you want to hedge. 3 is your option, the future, the size. It is for 3 months. 3 month future, they have clearly told. The denominator will always be 3 only. Okay, you only have to work on the numerator part. So into 6 over 3, which is 84, exactly 84 contracts. Now coming to the total basis point, you have to find basis. This is option, okay, understood. Option, it's not future. Then why worry about basis? Why you have to calculate basis? Tell me why you have to calculate basis over here. Number 3 is basis. Usually in options you don't have to calculate basis. Why? Because before options we always do future. If you have seen the previous questions past paper, before 2019 March June, you will see that always your future is you have to calculate first forward, then future, then options. So your basis risk, whatever you're calculating, it is already calculated in future, and that itself, that whatever closing future price you got in your future, that only you are taking in your option only. So you don't have to work. But in this case, you are already given the future price, the interest rate. You are not given the basis risk in future. We don't know. So that's why in options, we have to calculate the basis risk. Usually we don't have to, but here we have to because we don't have the future basis risk. It is already calculated. That's why you are calculating this total basis point here. Please understand why something is relevant, why this thing is step is here. Especially you have to challenge or you have to question when you see something which you are not familiar with. Let's say in this total basis. So I know that we never put do basis calculation in option. That is always in future. So at this time you have to ask this question, why? Because if you don't ask the question, you will never get an answer. If you don't get an answer, how will you learn? Memorization is not the goal here. Okay, it will not help in the long term. Memorization does not help. It does not lead you anywhere, especially in ACCA. Never helped anyone. Maybe for your other courses, yes, it might. You might have scored, you might have topped also, but not in ACCA. So don't try this. Okay, so total basis. Once you know that you have to find basis, everything remains the same like in future only. There's no difference. Okay, you are given. So what is the total basis? Understand. Spot minus your opening future price. What is your spot? Spot is your current price. What is your current price? Always start with what is the date today. They have told that today it is 1st May. So the current price, in front of current price write the date also. Like here they have wrote 1st May. Then you will understand which price you are taking. Don't just write current price, otherwise you will not know what to take. In front of that write the date. The date is today's date. Today is 1st May. Okay. Minus future price. Okay. So if you can see, the current price is 100 minus 4.5 minus 95.05. We'll go and see how it is. Okay. See here. Okay. So this, it is now 1st May. This one, they have clearly told it is now 1st May. So that now is from there itself you get the spot rate. Spot is LIBOR. Okay. LIBOR is currently 4.5%. Okay, so forget about that 50 basis point and on that LIBOR plus 50 basis point is you can borrow at that rate. That is not your spot rate. Your spot rate is LIBOR only. So LIBOR is 4.5%. Here, this one. This is your spot. That's why it is 100 minus 4.5% because 4.5% it is as an interest rate. If you want to get it as a price, that is 100 minus the interest. 100 minus 4.5 only you will get the spot price. Minus your future price. What is your future price? The opening future. What is it? Here. This one. 95.05. Don't go and deduct your exercise price from there. Please understand this. Even though this is option, don't get confused. This is basis risk you are calculating. Basis risk is your spot minus opening future price, not exercise price. So don't take 95.25 there. Take 95.05. Okay. So if you see here, 100 minus 4.5, 100 minus LIBOR. Okay. This thing is your LIBOR. And this is your opening future price. Opening future price. So you are getting 0.45. Okay. Now, next is what? Unexpired basis. How do you find unexpired basis on 1st of September? That basis you have to bring it out. That's 0.45. That is the total basis. Out of that, how much is unexpired? Okay. So what is it today? Okay, 1st of September. So here they told at present it seems that Lakshal will need to borrow 84 on 1st of September. So today is 1st of May. They have to borrow on 1st of September. Okay. So just calculate how many months from May to September. Sorry, from May, it is 1st of September, right? So September will not count. May to August. 1st of May to 1st of September. You are taking this also. Even you are taking your okay. So May, June, July, August, September. Sorry, I'm sorry. You have to take September. Okay. The reason you have to take September is you are taking your future options when future on September option you are taking. So that expires on 30, the last date of the month. Any option, any future, they expire on the last date of that month. So this is a September option. So it will expire on last of September, not 1st of September. So even though they have wrote 1st of September, right? So 1st of May to 30th September. May, June, July, August, September, 5 months. Total 5 months. So total 5 months. But out of that, only 1 month, that September month, is unexpired. Because you need it on 1st of September, right? 1st of September. So you need to hedge from 1st of May to 1st of September. But you are taking an option even longer. 30th of September, it will expire. So that 1 month, it will remain unexpired. So that's why it is 1 over 5 into 0.45. Out of that total basis, you are getting 0.09. Now, expected future price. Next is expected future price. What is expected future price? What is the expected future price? It is, if you see 100 minus 5.1 minus 0.9 minus that the basis, unexpired basis. How 100 minus 5.1? Why 100 minus 5.1? Because LIBOR is currently 4.5%, but it is expected to rise up by to 0.6%. That means 4.5 plus 0.6. Okay, so I will write here this one, 4.5 plus 0.6, it is 5.1. That's why you have to deduct 5.1% now, because you are finding the closing future price. So you have to now minus your closing spot, not your opening. Before you deducted 4.5, now you have to deduct it by increasing 0.6. So 5.1, 100 minus 5.9 minus that unexpired basis 0.09. You are getting this is your closing future price. This is your closing future price. You need this closing future price. Why? You need closing future price because you have to decide whether you have to exercise or not. You are going to compare this closing future price with the exercise price. That was the whole purpose why we did all this, to get to that closing future. Now, exercise price 95.25. Future price as above 94.81. Just now you calculated. Will you exercise or not? Will you exercise or not? Definitely you will exercise. Why? Give me that reason why you will exercise. Don't tell I will exercise because they told yes. They will exercise. What option is this? This is a put option. So put option, you will go for which? Higher price or lower price? You want to sell. Put option is option to sell, no? So you will go for higher price. Which one is having a higher price? Exercise price is having a higher price. Higher. Because put. See always which option it is. Then you will know whether you have to exercise or not. This is a put option. So you will go for the higher price. If you are going by the interest rate, you will go by what? You will go by the one which is lower interest. So which one is having a lower interest? 100, you can find out like this also. 100 minus 95.25 and 100 minus 94.81. The first one will give you a lower interest rate because you want to go for this is a borrowing. You want to protect yourself against borrowing, rise in interest rate. So you will go for a lower interest rate. And when you take it as a price, not as an interest rate, like 95.25, 94.81, higher one, this is a put option. So exercise price 95.25. So you will select that one. Okay, that because this is higher. Then yes, you will exercise. Yes, you have to write that you will exercise. Yes, you will exercise, or no, you will not exercise. You don't have to give reasons why you will not exercise, but you have to write yes or no. Then what are the gain? What is the gain? The difference between the exercise price and the future price, that is 44 basis point. So this is number 4 to find all this. Coming to that, it's not over. Interest paid, this is borrowing. This is from your how much you are going to pay interest. Okay, so interest paid, what is your amount you want to hedge? 84 million. So you can write it as whole 84 million, or you can drop out the 3 zeros or the 6 zeros. But if you drop out the zeros, make sure that here you write zeros. If you're dropping 3 zeros, write 3 zeros. If you want to drop 6 zeros, write 6 zeros and just write 84. That is also possible. But then you have to make sure that all the other numbers are also like that. Okay, if you don't want to confuse yourself, you can write the whole number. There is no harm. Okay, so 84 million into how many percentage? 5.6%. How 5.6%? Because it was, what was the spot before? 4.5. It will increase to 0.6. It was 5.1. Now plus 50 basis point. LIBOR plus 50 basis point. LIBOR now is 5.1 after increase, but you have to add 50 basis point. That's why it is 5.6%. Okay, it is here. You see this point. If you see LIBOR plus 50 basis points. So LIBOR after increasing, it is 5.1. So plus 50 is 5.6%. That's why you're multiplying it by 5.6% into 6 over 12, because for 6 months. For 6 months. Here it's not 6 over 3. So make sure The fractions you don't get it wrong. Only when you're finding number of contracts, that time only it is 6 divided by 3. But here it is 6 over 12 for 6 months. So that is the interest paid. Okay. Now, next, your gain from options. So what is your gain? And also the premium. So what is your gain? It is 44 basis point. Okay. So 44 basis point means this. Okay. This. Oh wait, I'm not able to. I'm not able to write. Okay, I will do it with my mouse. Okay. So this 44 basis point into how many? Into how many? 2 million. Contract size is 2 million. You always have to multiply by the contract size and into 3 over 12. Why 3 into 12? It is option. Option when you are doing. Okay. Remember option. Option when you are doing. It has to be for 3 months. Option is only for 3 months. So don't go and put 6 months over there. 6 months you are putting here. Because this is spot. In the spot what you are paying. Spot. This is spot. Okay, this is your spot. So in the spot it is 6 months, yes, but when you're coming to option, even for premium, even for your gain or a loss, it is 3 months only. 3 over 12. Then it is into 84. Okay, 84 million. Next, coming to the premium, even premium. If you see the premium, the table here, it is this one. So 0.411 divide by 100, it will be this, and into 2 million because contract size, into 3 over 12 again into 84 million. Okay, so now you are getting the premium. Now if you see, addition and deduction is very important. What do you have to add, what do you have to deduct? This is a payment. Okay, this first one is a payment. You can even put the payment in bracket, add your gain, deduct your premium again, or you can keep it as a positive number. It does not matter. But when you're keeping your interest paid as a positive number, your gain you have to deduct. Okay, because of your gain, the amount of interest you have to pay will go down. That's why you have to deduct your gain. That's why it is deducted. And your premium you have to add because that is also a payment. That also you have to pay. So your net payment is this. Okay, this will be in bracket. You can even put bracket also. Okay, this is your net payment. Now, don't put it in number. You cannot put it as a net payment. Why? Everything needs to be in the same term, okay? Same line for comparison. Otherwise, you cannot compare. Look at your forward. Look at your future. Both are in a percentage, 5.38% and 5.36%. So even your option on swap also has to give you a percentage. As a percentage, you have to find as an interest rate. So that's why basically what they're asking is effective annual interest rate. They're asking you this. Indirectly, you have to calculate this only, even if they didn't ask you. Sometimes you don't have to calculate this. Sometimes you have to do this. Usually in your interest rate risk management, you have to find the effective annual interest rate. Okay. So your effective annual interest rate is this. What is the net payment divided by 84 million, because that is your amount you have to hedge, into 12 over 6. Why 12 over 6? You have to reverse. It is for 6 months, let's say. It will be reversed. It will be 12 over 6. It will be 12 over 6. Why it is reversed? Why it's a reversal? Can you tell me why it is a reversal? The reason is when you find 5.57 percentage into this means this 84 million into 6 over 12, you have to get what? This has to be equal to, I'm writing the amount here, okay, 2339,820, this amount. So when you so this is the amount which you have to find. Let's put a question mark. Okay, so that means that's why now bring everything this side. So this is multiplication, it will become division this side. Okay, divide by 84. Okay, and this into 6 over 12. If you bring it this side, it will be reciprocal into 12 divided by 6. So you have to get 5.57 percentage. That's the reason you are reciprocating it to get this. So whenever you have to find effective interest rate, effective annual interest rate, it is reciprocal. It is for 6 months, so it will be 12 over 6, not 6 over 12. Okay, and when you find like this, you will not get this exact amount. You will get something little more or less. The reason is because when you are finding this numbers, okay, this numbers, they are rounded up. It is not an exact number. Okay, that's the reason. But it's okay. Those rounding differences does not matter so much. Now option is done. Coming to swap. Swap is very much easy, I would say. Okay. One good thing I want to tell what happened with me was I was very lucky. In fact, I have this I don't know, some kind of luck worked that day. The reason was because I hate swap. Okay, interest rate swap I never understood till the day, the morning when I had exam. That morning I understood how to do swap. I actually prepared myself that morning itself, the day when I was going to have an exam, AFM exam. It was a Friday morning. So that morning itself, at least I think 2 hours or 3 hours I gave to just I was learning swap because I was so much scared and I had this gut. I was having this feeling, my gut was saying that, we are going to get interest rate swap because long time we didn't get. And guess what? I actually got, and guess what happened then? I was like so happy because I was so prepared for this in the morning itself that day I got. So I was, you never know. So that's what I say. Luck also matters a lot. Trust me. Because there are things which you study over and over again. You have mastered yourself and you don't get in the exam. And there are times when you know you get the things which you want to get. But the good thing is I know everything, the syllabus and all. The only thing I left was swap. So I didn't wanted to miss. I didn't wanted to take a chance. I don't wanted to miss out on that. But I studied in that morning, and luckily I got swap. So I was able to do swap. Okay. And then I found out that swap was not actually very hard. In fact, it is the easiest. It has a way, and that way only you have to follow. There is no change and everything. Swap every time just same way only you have to follow. Only the numbers are changed. So coming to fixed and floating rate. When you're starting with swap, okay, write the floating and the fixed rate of both the parties, the company and the counterparty, and you have to find the difference also. So what was the fixed rate for Lakshya company? It was 5.6%. For counterparty it was 6.1%. Floating rate for Lakshya is LIBOR plus 0.5%. For counterparty is LIBOR plus 1.5%. You have to find the difference between the two fixed rates and the two variable rates. Okay, so the 5.6 minus 6.1, 0.5%. Okay, don't put in negative, you just have to find the difference, that's it. 0.5 LIBOR plus 0.5 minus LIBOR plus 0. LIBOR plus 1.5. LIBOR gets cancelled. 1.5 minus 0.5 is just 1%. Okay. If you clearly see the company, forget about the counterparty, Lakshya company, you can see that Lakshya company has the lower rate compared to counterparty, both fixed and floating rate. Okay. Fixed rate is also lower compared to counterparty. Even the floating rate is lower compared to counterparty. But when you go for a swap, you can only go for one rate. You cannot go for both the rates. Even if they have the company has a lower rate in both fixed and variable. Okay, how do you decide that? Whether after swap, usually in the exam they will not tell you. Okay, the counterparty will go for this and they will select for this after swap. You have to decide though how, which rate they will go after swap. How will you decide? Because there are two rates and in both the rate the company is having the lower rate. So the company should go for fixed or variable. How will you decide that? The company will go for variable rate. If you are saying the company go for variable rate, you are right. Why? See the difference. Your starting point is from here. Number one, I'm writing number one. Okay. Number one, starting point is you have to select the one which is having the highest difference, the fixed or the variable, which is having the highest difference, 0.5 or 1%. That 1% is bigger than 0.5. That means Lakshya is having lower rate in variable, higher compared to the fixed rate. Even fixed rate is lower, but the difference is only 0.5%. But coming to variable, it is 1%. That means with swap, okay, decide for one. See, decide only for 1%. The other person automatically it is the opposite. Don't try for two things. Okay, start from the company. So the company will now choose what? Variable rate, because they are having a advantage in variable rate, comparative advantage in variable rate compared to fixed rate. Okay, so first decide that. If you do not decide that, you cannot work on the other things. You cannot go ahead, you cannot proceed. You have to first decide which company. So company is having what? Lakshya is choosing floating rate. If Lakshya is okay, I'm writing swap. Okay, with swap. Okay, so swap, S means swap. In the exam also you can do this. You can circle. We don't circle, but because you are writing fixed and variable, but somewhere you can make a note that with swap they are choosing variable rate. Now obvious, counterparty will go for fixed with swap. Okay, decided. So now write it. Write in sentence. Have this habit of writing in sentence whatever calculations you do. Don't leave it in calculations. Okay, Lakshya has an advantage in borrowings at both fixed and floating rate, but the floating rate advantage is larger. You see, so the gain percentage for Lakshya is, okay, we'll work on the gain part later. Okay, we'll work on the gain part later. This, by the way, you have to work out. Okay, here before you put here in that table form, you have to make this as a table form. Before you put in that table, you have to calculate gain somewhere else. Before we go to gain, first what you have to write, first line what you have to write is without swap, number one. Okay, rate without swap, this should be a first line. Without swap you have to write. I'm taking more time here to explain you this because I don't want you to make this mistake in swap over and over again. I want you to be so perfect in swap that tomorrow if swap comes, you're very confident. You don't have any fear. You come and tell me that I handle the swap perfectly. You will never get scared of any swap. Any swap comes, you are able to handle it. I want you to be in that position. That's why I'm going very slow. I'm taking my own time. Otherwise, I could rush and just finish this video off. I don't want to do that because I know that this kind of videos you will not get in any channel, especially on swap. Okay, you people are much better than me, much smarter than me. You have much capability than me. Okay, you can even create, you can even have achieve world ranks. I'm telling you this only by being very perfect in the things you do. That's it. That's what I request. This last few days, it's not time for you to study again or do anything. This last few days are for you to see your own little areas where you're struggling, your weaknesses, and work on them. Slowly, slowly, slowly. Not at one. You cannot do everything in one, but yes. Okay, so coming to swap. So first you have to write without swap. Okay, Without swap is the one which I haven't circled. For Lakshya it will be fixed rate 5.6%. Okay, this is a borrowing, so put in bracket. Okay, without bracket, how much they will pay? Fixed rate 5.6%. That's why it's in bracket. That importance of bracket is very important. You cannot forget bracket. You have to know where you have to put bracket and where you don't have to put bracket. It's a payment with swap. Without swap, you have to put bracket. Okay, so 5.6% for Lakshya, and of course for counterparty it is the variable rate LIBOR plus 1.5%. Coming to benefit, next is your benefit. Because your rate without swap minus benefit is your net result. That net result you have to find. So number 2 is benefit. Benefit, how you find benefit? How do you find benefit? Here you didn't write that step. Okay, but you need to find the how you write benefit. Tell me, how do you find the benefit? How do you do that? Okay, so it is here. Write without swap and write with swap. It is the, and whatever the difference is, it is the benefit. Without swap. Okay, without swap and with swap. So without swap they are going for fixed 5.6 and L plus 1.5, and with swap it is how much? L plus 0.5 and 6.1. Okay, without swap and with swap. Okay, this is Lakshya and this is counterparty. I'm putting at a table. Now you have to put the total here. Okay, the total needs to be put. I know it's a long work, but there's no other way. So add L, okay, 1.5 plus 5.6, 7.1, and then L plus 6.1 plus 0.5, 6.6. So if you deduct 7.1 minus 6.6, because LL will get cancelled, it is 0.5%. Okay, it is 0.15, 1%, 5%. There is another way, shortcut of doing this. This is for your understanding how you got that gain, because without swap and with swap you have to get a gain. Otherwise, what's the purpose of going for swap, right? There's another way, very easy. It is just look at this difference. This A I will put, B I will put. Just look at the difference, A and B. So 1 minus 0.5. The difference between these two is 0.5. Are you getting the same? This 0.5 and this 0.5. You will get the same difference only. This is much easier. The interest rate differential. So it is 0.5. Now, from this 0.5, what do you have to do? You have to deduct your bank fee. What was the bank fee? It is 10 basis point each party. That means 10, 10, 20. So that's 20 basis point. You have to deduct 20. You are left with 0.3. This 0.3 will be divided equally between the two parties. The gain is 0.15, 0.15. That's how you are getting 0.15. That's why if you see here also 1 minus 0.5. That 1 minus 0.5 is this only. Okay, this 2. And this 0.2 is your bank fee. 10 basis point for each party. So both parties will be 20 basis point. Then for that you have to take 50% and this. Okay, so that's why the gain is here. 0.15, 0.15 percentage benefit without bracket. Okay, but you have to deduct your without swap and benefit, and you have to get the net result. Net result is very important. Your net result is very important. Everything depends on your net result. What you do here, no? What you do here with swap depends on your net result only. So net result you have to get correctly. Otherwise, you cannot balance your swap. Everything will go wrong. So 5.6 minus 0.15 is 5.45%, but it will be in bracket. It's a payment. LIBOR plus 1.5 minus 0.15. Okay. It will be, so LIBOR will get cancelled. No, LIBOR is there. Sorry, I'm sorry. It will be in bracket 1.5 minus 0.15. That's why it's 1.35%. LIBOR plus 1.35%. Now coming to swap. Next is your swap. If you see swap, if you have done swap questions, 4-5 questions, you know this is the way only. It is fixed way. Same way only you are doing swap. There is no other way of doing swap. Swap has been doing the same in all the questions. That's why it is easier for me to teach swap than any other topic. Because the type of questions you get, it is standard, fixed. This is the way of doing of swap. I told you numbers are only different. That's it. Coming to swap, your first, there are 4 things. Okay. Number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. First one, and this has to be in this order only. Okay. First you have to write borrow at. They borrow at what? You have to write they borrow at. That means with swap or without swap. You have to take with swap. Under swap, what they are borrowing at. Okay, they are borrowing at this LIBOR plus 0.5 and 6.1 only with swap. I have put S also, circled also. Coming to this 2 things. Okay, Lakshal company pays and counterparty pays. Of course, they are paying means one company is paying, one company is receiving. Okay, because if you see one number, okay, something is in bracket in some company in some place, and in another place it is without bracket. Same figure only. That means some company is receiving, the other one will be paying it. Of course, if I pay to you, you are receiving, I am paying. So for me it will be in bracket, for you it will be without bracket, but the amount will be same. So coming to now this, very important, you have to start with variable. You have to start with LIBOR, not fixed rate. You cannot start with fixed rate. Fixed rate is the balancing figure. Okay, this is the balancing figure. B, this 4.85%, you cannot work out on that 4.85%. First you have to start with LIBOR, because LIBOR, it is LIBOR only. Okay, you have to decide who is paying LIBOR and who is not paying LIBOR. Who has to pay in LIBOR and who should not pay in LIBOR. How will you decide that? Even though this is long, trust me, if you do 2, 3, 4, 5 questions together one by one of swap only, you will be mastered. You will get a pro, you will get expert in this swap, I'm telling you. So please don't miss this opportunity. Still keep trying doing questions, my dear friends, with the same idea. Okay, because just listening to my video is not enough. Until you don't go and apply this, whatever you have learned from me or from anyone else, until you go and apply in your question, you will never understand. Okay, theory is something else, applying it in practicality is something different. So start with LIBOR. Now if you have to decide who is paying LIBOR and who is receiving LIBOR, that's why I told you your net result is very important. You have to look at your net result. See your net result. See net result, both the net result of the company and the counterparty. Your net result will tell you whether you have to pay LIBOR or you are receiving LIBOR. If you see the net result, in whose net result can you see LIBOR? In the company or the counterparty? Counterparty is having LIBOR in bracket. That means counterparty is paying LIBOR. If you see net result, LIBOR plus 1.35%. That means after swap, that is with swap, right? Net result. Counterparty is having LIBOR, paying in LIBOR. That means counterparty has to pay LIBOR. Lakshal company is receiving LIBOR. That's why if you see here also, counterparty LIBOR is in bracket and the company is receiving LIBOR. That's why it is without bracket. Now do you understand? And bank fee is obviously 0.11%, so that also you can write it. Coming to next, the balancing figure. The fixed rate is always balancing figure, remember that, but it will be one only for both. Okay, if you see the net result of the company has the fixed rate, so from that net result you have to find the balancing figure. How do you do that? How do you do that? It's very easy. Just below you write here the net result. The net result here is 5.45%. Here it is L plus 1.35%. So you have to ultimately you have to get 5.45% at the end, whatever you do. That means you have to pay a fixed rate. The company has to pay fixed rate. Remember, this time company has to pay fixed rate because net result company is paying fixed rate. Okay. So just add, See, LIBOR plus 0.5. Okay, I'm writing here. LIBOR plus 0 for Lakshya company only. LIBOR plus 0.5. Okay. Lakshya company is receiving LIBOR. Okay. Counterparty is paying LIBOR means Lakshya company is receiving LIBOR. LIBOR will get cancelled. So minus L. Because this is a payment, this is a receipt. So L gets cancelled. There is no LIBOR, only 0.5% now. Now add your bank fee, 0.1. That means you are having 0.6. So just go 5.45% you have to get. Out of that, now you already have 0.6. So the balance is 4.85. This 4.85 is the balancing figure. If you see here, this is the amount you have to pay, fixed rate. Lakshya company is paying 4.85%, but counterparty is receiving that 4.85%. That's why it is without bracket. Now, it is not over. Okay. It is not over. If you see here, they have wrote the net result down. Okay. Net result you have to write down. I'm sorry, it is on the next page. That's why I couldn't show you. Net result, you are writing it down. Again, you are repeating this net result. So at the end, you have to get the net result. Now there's a way of checking whether your swap arrangement is correct or not. It is like this, that you do your calculation and you have to get that net result. That means for Lakshya company at the end, after doing addition, subtraction, you have to get 5.45%. For counterparty, you have to get LIBOR plus 1.35%. We'll check. Shall we check this? Because we are done with swap. Now we just have to comment on that. Okay. So starting with Lakshya company, oldie, forget about counterparty. LIBOR plus 0.5, we are paying. Lakshya is paying 4.85%. So add 0.5 plus 4.85 plus LIBOR. It is LIBOR plus 5.35%. Now, Lakshya is receiving LIBOR. So LIBOR gets cancelled. We are only left with 5.35%. From that 5.35%, add the bank fee because that also we have to pay. So 5.35 plus 0.1, 5.45%. Are we having or not? Are we getting the net result using this arrangement? Yes. So for Lakshya company, we are right. Can we check for counterparty? Of course, if for one party we are right, then other party also it will be right. But still, for your clarity, for your explanation, I will show you. For counterparty also check. Okay, we are starting from here. 6.1% we are paying. Okay. And how much we are receiving? 4.85. So minus 6.1 minus 4.85. We are having 1.25. With this, we are adding LIBOR also. Because whatever is in bracket, you are adding. Whatever is without bracket, we are deducting. So 1.25 plus 0.1. 1.35. So that means we are having LIBOR plus 1.35. We are getting both the net results. That means our swap arrangement is perfectly correct. This is the way of checking. You have to check, are you getting that net result or not? Okay. So that's it for swap. This is the swap. Now we are coming to the comments. If you see the comments, okay. Okay. So swap. Okay. Now with swap, what is the rate you are getting? The net result is your rate. This rate you have to write 5.45% simply. Okay, 5.45%. because everything you have to write as percentage. Remember your forward, future, option also was in some percentage. Something we got 5.57%, and this is 5.45%. This is a borrowing. We want the one we want which is having the lowest rate. So let's go and check now which is having the lowest rate. Let's start from our forward 5.3, 5.36. Future is having less 5.36. Let's go to our option 5.36. Option is having 5.57. It is more expensive. So option is not a choice. Coming to swap 5.45. So it shows that future is giving you the lowest. Let's see 5.36. Yes, future is giving you the lowest. So let's comment. Can we comment on this now? Yes. Swap gives a result which is marginally worse than the forward trade agreement. Okay, there is a way of comparing. If you want to compare something, this is a tip I'm giving you. Okay, you can use it also. If you don't want, don't use it also. But it's time saving also. Rather than going and scrolling through pages and searching for the number, just make a table and write all. FRA, future, option, swap. Write all the numbers. Swap it is 5.45%. Option it is 5.57%. Future it is 5.3 something 38% and 36%. Okay, so if you see the lowest now you can compare, and the highest is option and the lowest is future. So and swap, if you see, it is slightly more than future and forward. Okay, so the swap gives a result which is marginally worse than the forward and the future. Now can you understand? I have the figure in front of you. I have the comments also. The option gives a worse result than the other choices. So do you know how to write now? You can write. You can write this in any way. It is not compulsory that the way the examiner wrote, you have to write like that only. That starting with swap. Why they started with swap. You can write in any way. You can even say the best rate is offered by future. The lowest. The highest is option. Option is at the worst. And forward and swap are in between. So you can even write like this also. You can start with forward. You can start with future. You can start with option. You can start with swap. You can start with any order. It is up to you. That flexibility is there, that option you have, but this point has to be there. If you write, you have to write option is worst. You have to write which one is giving the lowest rate, future. Okay, this is just, but you have to compare. You cannot write one thing in an isolated way. You cannot say something is the best, so go for that rate only. That should not be your comment. Your comment, you have to compare two things, two three things, one thing with three things, or one with the other, like that. Like here they are comparing, first line, they are comparing swap with forward and future. They are saying it is worse. And they are also saying option is the worst, even worst. So in one line only they are explaining all the four things. Risk which might be considered include counterparty risk. Now what are you saying? Now you are giving advantage. Basically in comment, okay? This comment means first you compare, then you give advantages and disadvantages of each one. Option, forward, swap. Comparison, you're comparing. Not, it's not like you're giving list of advantages and list of disadvantages. No, 1 and 2 is enough. Even one advantage you write, it is enough. Like here how they are writing about forward and swap, they are comparing. Risk which might be considered include counterparty risk for the forward rate agreement. Okay, so they are talking about counterparty risk for forward rate agreement and swap. They are saying this too has a counterparty risk, swap and forward rate agreement. The counterparty can default on their payment. It is not guaranteed that the counterparty will pay for swap and forward rate agreement. So the counterparty risk is there in these two things, in these two derivatives. Using the bank should mean that this risk is low for forward rate agreement and also for swap, because we are using bank. Assuming that the bank bears the risk of the counterparty defaulting. Assuming, so assumption you can give. This assumptions you can give. You are assuming that the bank will bear the counterparty risk. Basis risk, of course. Future means basis risk. Okay, when you have to talk about disadvantage of future, always talk about basis risk. Okay, or the margin account. This two. One and two is enough, not more than two. Basis risk should be considered for traded future. So basis for future. You have to talk about advantage and disadvantage because finally you have to come to a conclusion. You just cannot jump to a conclusion like this. Remember, even though in your mind it is there that at the end I will be answering this only. But before that, you have to talk about all this risk and blah blah. Here, because the differences between instruments are small, a failure to estimate basis accurately may mean that futures are chosen when they do not offer the lowest borrowing cost. Okay. So for the swap, if the company swap into fixed rate debt, it faces the market risk of unaccepted fall in interest rates. If they go for fixed rate swap, it faces this risk. How? Because if it goes for a fixed rate and if the rate falls below that rate, they cannot take advantage. Like in variable rate, they can take that advantage, but not in fixed rate. If the interest rate goes very down. So that's a market risk for the one who's taking swap. Okay, if they swap into a fixed rate debt, okay, other factors. So to consider include the possibility that the rates will increase rather less than forecast, meaning that the option would not be exercised and at some point would be the lowest cost choice, right? So if the interest rate increases, if there's a forecast, right? Even though that increase in interest rate is less than what you have forecasted, still the interest rate is increasing, option will not be a good choice. Option is expensive. It is giving the highest rate. That's why that option will not be exercised. So the length of the time of the swap also needs to be considered. The length of the time of the swap. Although it commits the luxury to the fixed rate, if the borrowing turns out to be longer than the 6 months, the swap may provide a better time match than the other hedging opportunities. So finally, they are going for swap. They are saying that if the borrowing turns out to be longer than 6 months, the swap may be better time match than the other hedging opportunity. Why are they saying this? Because if you see future and option, 3 months, even forward rate, everything has a time. Forward is for 6 months. If you see option and future, 3 months they are taking. But that means you can take another option. You have to take another option or you have to take another future if you want to extend. But it will be more costly. But in swap, you can take for a longer time. So swap can match that time. So that's why at the end you are saying swap is a better option than other hedging opportunities. Now, for individual to individual, this can differ. You might say for you, looking at the date, you might say future is the low since future is giving the lowest rate, future might be the option. That also it is acceptable. You will exactly get the marks. Your marks will not be cut for saying that. So don't think that because they told swap, I also have to tell swap. No, nothing like that. You can even write swap future also because it is giving the lowest. You can even write option. Option is not so much likely in this case, but you might say that if the interest rate does not rise, it falls down, then option would be a better choice compared to others in this case. That also you can write. You can even write forward rate agreement because it is simple, more easier. So anything you can write, provided you justify like how they have justified swap, that they can better time match than the other hedging opportunities. So like this, if you also can give a conclusion or justification for the method you choose, you will perfectly get all the marks. So don't worry about it. Now coming to the advantages of swap and disadvantages of swap. Okay. So I think part B, I'm leaving this to you. You shall be able to handle it. By now I have explained enough the advantages and disadvantages of swap. It is your knowledge part and all, right? And you have to link, don't forget, even though they told advantages and disadvantages, you have to link to the company. Okay, that linking is very necessary. So you can just go through it. I'm leaving this to you. I'm not reading it. I'm going to part C. The reason I'm going to part C is this type of question is a different one. It's a new one. It has not been appeared in other paper, in the previous paper. So I'm going to go through part C and I'm going to finish this here. Okay. They told that what was part 3 requirements, part C. Okay. They told that why we have to hire experienced and expensive staff for the treasury department. They are not giving any value, strategic value. We can even hire some inexperienced and junior staff for the treasury department to manage exchange rate risk and all those things. You have to tell. You are either for, you are either against. Let's see how they have written the answer, and it's for 5 marks. 5 marks means what? 5 points you have to write. 5 points you have to write at least. So you have to know the 5 points. No? If you see the paragraph wise, this is one paragraph, this is second paragraph, this is third paragraph, this is fourth paragraph, and this is the fifth paragraph. There are 5 paragraphs talking about 5 different points. Part C. The chief executive appears to underestimate the degree of knowledge required for day-to-day work. Less experienced staff may be able to arrange borrowing if the lender has already been chosen for. For example, arrange borrowing rate agreements to be used if they are prescribed. What does that mean? Less experience able to arrange borrowing if lender has already been chosen. For example, they are also giving example. You have to give examples in this kind of this thing, because from your knowledge part you will not be able to write so much on this theory part, you will not get. So this type of questions you have to write examples. What examples? Linking to your case study. Here you need to think. This is called your creativity side. So ACC is not just trying to bring your knowledge part. They know you have vast amount of knowledge. They are trying to bring your creativity side. How do you think when you're exposed to such questions? What do you do at this condition? Because this is a professional level paper, you're at the highest level, right? So your thinking also has to be like that level, like you are some CEO or CFO of a company. And how do you recommend such thing? What do you do as a what do you do as an action in that position if you're in that position? So broaden up your thinking, think creative. Okay. So here, arrange borrowing forward rate agreements to be used if they are prescribed. See, less experienced staff you can only use if lender is already there. If you know who is the lender, you can arrange borrowing. But otherwise it is hard, because in this case you have to go for borrowings, right? You have to hedge, so you have to go for borrowing. If you are less experienced staff, it will be very hard for you to go and select a lender, and then that lender will not give you just money like that. Okay, the lender will always check the authority, or what is your authority in the company, how experienced you are. Then only that bank or the finance provider will help you or give you money. So that's very important. But if the lender is already decided, okay, then in that condition, yes, less experienced staff can be used. So that is the first point they are saying. Second, however, if judgment is required as to, for example, which lender or hedging instrument to use, if you see, I'm underlining the important words for you. This is your job. When you read the answer, you should be able to find what are the keywords. This is how you learn. You're not like learning word by word, sentences and sentences. Sentences you will create using the words. You only need the keywords. Okay, so judgment is required. Another thing is they're talking about judgment. Wherever judgment is required, what judgment? What are the judgment? Number one, who is the lender? Number two, which hedging instrument to use? See, hedging instruments, financial derivatives, options, swap, future. This cannot be handled by any common people. You need technical skills in this to select which one is the best. So using less experienced staff may mean that a suboptimal decision is made. Less experienced suboptimal decision is made. Proper decision will not be made if you're putting a less experienced staff to choose lender and to choose the derivative. They cannot do it. It is very complex. It is very complex. Because these are very big decisions of the company. They can even ruin your reputation and your company's position also. Cash flow position and financial position also can be ruined if you take an incorrect decision. If you're putting a less experienced staff there, it is very likely that they will make an incorrect decision. They might choose a wrong derivative, or they might go for a wrong lender. They might choose a wrong lender. This is a big limited company. Let's go to the case study and see. The beginning itself, they have told. Lakshal is a listed electronic company. Listed electronic company. It is not some small company. If you look at the amount they have to hedge, 84 million, you can understand the size of the company. So poor decisions may result in opportunity cost. For example, not using the lender who gives the best deal, or being committed to a fixed forward rate agreement when an option would have allowed the business to take advantage of favorable rate movements. Can you see how they are linking to the case study? I am stopping in between and telling you how they have linked, showing you, demonstrating you how they have linked. This is how you have to link, how they have used. They are talking about forward, they are talking about option, you can talk about swap also. So this opportunity cost may not be as clear as the salary cost of experienced staff. Okay, why they have talked about opportunity cost and the salary cost? Because they are telling experience are very expensive, but it is worth it. They are worth that, right? Even if they're expensive, they are worth it. Because the opportunity cost of not having the lender, the opportunity cost of choosing the wrong derivative is much bigger than that salary, that huge salary which they are taking. So you have to decide which one is more which. Coming to point 3. So this is how you pick marks. Okay. It looks very easy when you just blah 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 blah, as business operates internationally. If you keep reading like this, it looks very easy. Everything looks very easy on the surface area. When you actually attempt this question and try to write, trust me, you will not even get a single point. If you don't train your mind to think like that, when you're practicing, you have to train your mind. Don't think that, okay, this question will come in the exam, that time I will think and write something. Whatever I think of, whatever I could think of. If you are applying this technique, you are going in a wrong way, my dear friends. So don't do this, please. When you are practicing also, when you get such questions like this in your revision kit and all, don't look at the answer. We are very in a hurry. You are tempted to look at the answer, what is there in the answer, because you think you are wasting time by writing and then reviewing your answer. You want to save time. You're not saving time, you're fooling yourself. You actually have to sit, time yourself. This is what, 5 marks, 9 minutes time, and write it, whatever points you can get. See, you might be wrong, you can be completely wrong, it's fine, but still write. Because when you're writing, even if it's wrong, at least you're training your mind to think in a certain way. Okay, these are the way I have to think when this type of question comes, how I have to handle, how I have to link with the case study. These are the ways. Then only you will learn. The more you train your mind, the more, when the actual day comes, the exam day comes, you are already trained, you are well equipped with everything. You don't have to worry about everything, you just have to go there and apply it. That's it. So coming to point number 3. As the business operates internationally, I've told you, wherever you can link. How you link, it is up to you. Every person might have different points to link. Some people might not see the point which you are seeing. Some people might take it in a different way. Okay, so as the business operates internationally, the Treasury Department will need to monitor the financial market conditions and exchange rates. So monitor financial market conditions and exchange rates. How they are linking, you see? The business operates internationally, they are linking it with the exchange rate and the financial market conditions. That this linking is the key for your success. The more you can link, the better are your marks. You are securing high marks for yourself. Who does this? Who does this? It is whose job? Treasury department. They look at for the exchange rate. They go and monitor the financial market conditions when a business operates internationally, and other issues which may be significant, such as political developments. Because of their previous experiences, you see how they are linking with experience. Treasury department, because of their previous experiences, longer serving staff are more likely to appreciate the implications of developments and whether treasury policies and decisions need to change in response to changes in risk. Sometimes the treasury department, what they do, they change their policy depending on the risk. If there is change, they will change their policy also. Treasury department is better in managing and monitoring all these things. Why? Treasury department, they are not only they did only do the treasury, whatever the roles they have, not in your company, they have done it in so many other companies. They have previous experiences, they have vast amount of experiences of doing this job. Their job is this only. And also the staff which is there in the treasury department, they are such kind of staff that they are not the kind of staff that usually go hire and fire. It's not like that. They are long serving staff. Usually they are like, even in the case study they have told like this. Okay. If you see, Lakshya has recently appointed a new chief executive who has a number of plans to expand the company. Okay. Okay. Here they didn't tell, but usually they are long serving team, the treasury department team, because they are there for taking such big decisions, significant decisions. They don't take small decisions. Okay. So senior staff are also need to manage the work of less experienced staff to prevent or mitigate the effect of mistakes which may be costly. Senior staff are also needed. Why they are needed? Now I'm asking you this question. I'm linking this. Okay. Why do you need me? Or why do someone has to see my video? Why do you need? You can even go with the exam without seeing my video also. The reason is because I'm not talking about age wise, but yes, I am more senior to you. I have passed this exam. I have done the mistakes. Okay, I have learned through my mistakes. So now I can help you. I can prevent you from making those mistakes. Because I have experience in that. I have more experience than you people. Whoever is giving exam now, I have done it. I have gone through that. I have done the mistakes. So now whatever the mistakes I have done, I can tell you not to do. I can prevent you. Why? Because I have experience. So I'm senior to you in that way. Like that, in any company, in treasury department, you need senior staff also. Senior staff is needed because they have to help the junior staff for them not to make the mistake, to mitigate, because the mistakes they do can be very costly for the company as a whole. Now coming to point 4, experienced staff are also needed. So here they told the senior staff is needed. Here they're telling experienced staff are needed to establish, okay, overall guidelines. The senior and this experienced, they're in two different points. Why they are in two different points? You can even bring in them one point also. You have to collect marks, 5 marks you have to get. And also if you see the requirement, okay. Criticize the views of the chief executive work. You have to criticize the chief executive work carried out by the treasurer and the staff required to do the work. Who are the staff required to do the work? What was his comment? CEO's comment. I understand that the treasury department has a number of day-to-day responsibilities, including investing surplus funds for short-term liquidity management, hedging currency and interest rate risk. However, this task could be carried out by junior and less experienced rather than experienced and expensive staff. So they're talking about junior and less experienced. So you are saying you need senior staff also, you need more experienced staff also. And you're putting it in a different point. And when you're putting in a different point and you're elaborating it, you are getting marks. Okay. So now, why do we need, how they're linking experienced staff, will see. Experienced staff also needed to establish overall guidelines and policies for treasury activities. Their judgment will be required to establish principles, which will mean that the actions taken by staff are in line with the risk appetite of the business and are sufficiently prudent from the viewpoint of risk management. Yes, they're talking about risk management and all. Judgment, wherever judgment is needed, experienced staff. If you say an auditor in a company also, why do we always have to take a second review? Okay. Auditor also. Why is it like that? Wherever if you see something is of a very complex nature and all in an organization going on, which needs a lot of judgment, if you see the senior auditors are taken, you are not, you will not give a junior clerk, audit clerk, those work. A senior audit team is needed for that. They will come and review the work wherever the issues are very complex. When an organization is grown to such amount, complex financial transactions are there, financial instruments and all those things, you need, or senior audit team is needed. A junior auditor will not be able to handle it because the senior audit is more experienced. More experience means wherever judgment is required, experienced staff can make those judgment. Junior people cannot make that judgments. They are not scared to do that judgment. Even if they make some judgment, it will go wrong. Right? So experienced staff will also have a greater knowledge of law, accounting standards, tax regulations, which can help the business avoid penalties and perhaps structure in dealing so that it can, example, minimize the level of tax paid. When someone is experienced, they have greater knowledge of from wide areas, not from one field. A senior auditor, if you are taking, that auditor has all the knowledge of IFRS, all the IAS and standard, all the tax regulation, the tax laws, the new tax rules, okay, the law, the current law of the company, in the of the country. So that senior auditor is supposed to know all this, that experienced auditor. Coming to the last point, the chief executive has planned for a major expansion of the business. In the first line, it is given that they have a plan for major expansion of the business involving significant investment and financing decisions. Yes, they need significant investment and financing decisions. Advice from experienced treasury. So they are linking this with this line, okay? This line, everything they are linking with this line. How they need experienced staff, how they need senior staff. Okay, why junior staff and unexperienced staff will not be helpful in this condition. Basically, that is only they are saying. So advice from experienced treasury staff will be invaluable in supporting the decision required. If Lakshya is planning a major acquisition, the treasury function can provide advice on the structure of consideration and financing implications. If, as here, a major investment is being contemplated, experienced staff can advise on translating views on risk into a relevant cost of capital, which will help ensure that the financial appraisal of the investment is realistic. You have to decide a cost of capital for the investment decisions. How do you do that? Judgment is required. It is an estimate. Experienced staff is needed to do that estimation, because if your risk of capital, if you choose it too less or too long, think about the implication. Net present value. You make decision on net present value. Net present value is based on risk of cost of capital. So if that cost of capital you choose it wrongly, your net present value, everything, the decision which you choose for investment, everything goes wrong. And this is a very major decision. Expansion, it's not some small decision. So this is how you end it. You see how you study and you see how you end. That ending and that starting is very important in any question, not only in this subject, in any paper you take. So now I will take you through the marking scheme of only question 2, and I will also be coming with question 3 and question 1. Okay, so starting with options. 1 mark for buying put option, 1 mark for number of contracts, 1 mark for basis calculation, 1 mark for premium calculation, 1 mark whether you will exercise option yes or no. For that yes or no, you are getting 1 mark. 1 mark for the final outcome. Under swap, 2 marks, comparative advantage and recognition of benefit. What benefit? You have to recognize that there's a benefit after swap. That gain, you have to calculate that gain, you are getting 1 mark, and comparative advantage, that fixed and variable which you compared, that you wrote that sentence that they are going to go for this rate because they are having a higher advantage in this rate. Initial decision to borrow floating bilateral and fixed by counterparty. Okay, for that 1 mark. To write it. Swap impact, 2 marks. That means your whole swap, everything has to be correct. Net benefit after bank charges. If you see net benefit after bank charges, you have to deduct the bank charges whenever bank charges is given. 3 to 4 marks on comment if you see. 3 to 4 marks. Comments. Coming to part 2. It is equal 2 to 3. 2 to 3 advantages and disadvantages of swap. And coming to see 1 to 2 marks per relevant point. 5 marks. So if you see this question is not at all very tough. It's quite easy question, I would say. The only thing is that swap and the difficulty is in part C. That's it. But I'm sure, but after seeing this video, whenever a question like this appears, you will be very confident and you will be able to solve it. If not in full, but at least try to get the 50% mark. Right? Out of 5, at least try to get 3 marks. 2, 3 marks. But not, don't leave it blank. Okay, don't leave anything unattempted. Attempt each and every question. Okay. So that's it for this video. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel and also recommend your friends to subscribe to my channel so that my videos and all the hard work which I do goes to more and more students and everyone gets benefited because it's free of cost, right? No cost. You don't have to pay anything from your pocket. You just have to click the subscribe button and that's it. All the videos are in your hand. So I don't think anyone should waste this opportunity, right? Okay, so take care and God bless.